This episode of Another Great Day is brought to you by SAS. Don't do it. You better not. It's Thursday.
I read that. I read the script thingy, and I thought, all right. I didn't expect it to get me. Oh, it was good.
It's Thursday, March 9th, 2023. I'm Aaron, and this is my joyful host, Chris.
Hello. I'm sorry I ruined the intro.
No, it's great. It's great. We encourage laughter and interaction here. We'd like to welcome you back to Another Great Day, the podcast literally designed to encourage interaction, creativity, and conversation. Well, Chris, it's finally here. My new Spider-Man action figure collector's edition. I'm so excited. I can't wait to open the box and see it. Should I open it now, like on the podcast?
Yeah. I don't see why not. Open it on up. Let's show it off.
All right, here we go. What is this? This is not what I ordered. This is a doll.
You ordered a Spider-Man action figure, and they sent you a doll.
Yeah, and I guess I'm going to keep it. In fact, I think I'm going to name it Spider Doll. What do you think?
Spider Doll. There might be a better name out there, but I mean, sure. What you want to do.
Well, you know what? Chris is exactly right. I think I am going to keep it, and there probably is a better name out there, but this will bring us to this day in history. That's right. If you're wondering why we're talking about dolls and toys, on this day in 1959, the Barbie doll makes its debut. Indeed. On March 9th, 1959, the first Barbie doll goes on display at the American Toy Fair in New York City. Barbie was the first mass-produced toy doll in the United States. She's been everything from a doctor to a model to a pilot to a candidate for the United States president. I actually thought this was kind of neat. Since 1959, over 1 billion, with a B, 1 billion Barbie dolls have been sold. It's a lot of dolls. And now I've got one of my own.
That 1 billion means that on Earth, 1 out of 8 people could have a Barbie doll.
Right.
Now, I know some people have more than one Barbie doll, and a lot of them are old and probably are broken now, but the potentialness is 1 in 8. That means if you went to your classroom at school today, that if you had 20 kids in your class, 2 of them probably have a Barbie doll.
If you gathered all those Barbie dolls and you piled them up, I wonder how big the pile would be, like how tall it would be. Like, could you fit them all? Could you fit them all in a house, maybe? In an acre of land?
And it reminds me of this hill made of broken jars. Okay, so I did some research. This hill, or mound, is called Monte Testaccio. You can go see it today. It's approximately 5 acres at its base. So it's about 4 football fields, kind of almost 115 feet high. This was holding jars that held olive oil. No one knows when the mound was first started to be used. No one knows really exactly when, but the guesses are around 100 BC, before Jesus, till around 250 AD after. So at the very least, 100 years, 200 years, maybe 300 years, people used this gigantic mound to put broken jars.
Man, that is a super cool story. I had no idea such a thing existed. And you've seen some really interesting things.
You can go see it today. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on. This next segment is called the Question of the Day. And if you're new to this, we're going to ask a question. Encourage you to take a minute to answer the question with those around you. We'll give you about 10 seconds to answer. And if you need more time, feel free to pause the show and come right back. Today's question of the day is, what was your favorite childhood toy? We'll be right back. All right, welcome back from that discussion question. We hope you enjoyed that. Chris, what was your favorite childhood toy?
I was running through in my brain and a couple of things. Really young, I had a Ninja Turtle. I think I mentioned on the podcast before with Casey, the hockey player guy.
Yeah, Casey Jones.
Later, I got a 9-inch, 10-inch tall G.I. Joe, like an extra large one. It was supposed to be some kind of like collector's item. And he had a scar on his face, which I thought was super cool.
That's awesome.
So there was a time when I got a scar on a cut on my knee, and I really wanted it to become a scar because it would be so cool and tough. And I don't know. I now regret that. It's still there. It's like a tattoo, I guess.
Scars are not temporary; they are forever.
It's still right there on my knee.
Nice.
But that's not the toy that my favorite. That was just for some reason I'm giving you a whole timeline.
Some bonus toys.
I think it would have to be Connects. I loved Legos, but for some reason Connects had the like long sticks that you can stick together, similar to Legos. And you could more easily make structures that were larger than just a couple of pieces together. And they stuck together really well, so you could actually play with them. I made multiple cars that I would play with, and so strong that I would push them down my stairs and they wouldn't fall apart. That was kind of my goal, was to make them strong enough to withstand tumbling down the stairs.
That's amazing. Wow.
I love those.
Man. I had some pretty remarkable toys also. I had the Ghostbusters Proton Pack and Trap.
Whoa.
Which was really cool because Ghostbusters was super popular when I was a little kid. Well, we're about the same age. When we were both kids, Ghostbusters was huge. And it had the air pressure trap. So when you stomped on the trap mechanism, the actual doors of the trap would open.
That's so great.
It was so much fun. But on the same vein, in the same vein, I also, for Christmas one year, and this is my favorite because I used it all the time for all sorts of things, was the Ghostbusters Firehouse with Ecto-1. So it was it was a 3-story tall. I mean, not real life 3 stories, but it was a small toy about, I don't know, 3 feet tall. And you could play with your Ghostbuster toys inside of it. There was a slot with the doors. The doors could open, so Ecto-1 could be parked inside. It had a pole from the 3rd floor. And then it came, I don't know if you remember this, but Ghostbusters toys would come with little Play-Doh sized canisters of goo. Yep. And so, there was a grating, like a little grate at the very top of the mansion and on each floor. So you could dump goo in that and it would drip down the entire mansion. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. It was really neat. A huge mess. That had to have ruined lots of rugs and carpets across the 80s and 90s for lots of parents.
Wow.
But toys were pretty awesome back in the day. So, all right. Well, good talk and great talk. Good talk, as I say. Great and good.
I'm Groot.
Well, let's take a quick break and check in with our Dad Joke Correspondent on location. Take it away, Wes.
Bonjour, Aaron. Bonjour, Chris. I'm out here at Beauty and the Beast Castle, and boy, this is something else. There's a baker selling lots of bread and rolls, and thankfully no signs of Gaston out here. But boy, the plates, they're something else. One of the plates said to the other, "Dinner's on me. Have another great day."
I don't know about you, Chris, but that sounds like my kind of feast.
I'd be your guest anytime, Wes.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to another great day. I'm Aaron, and that's Chris, and we are glad you're here. This part of our show is called The Word of Wisdom. This is where we'll take a minute to go through a proverb or wise saying and then give you our take. Here we go.
Today's Word of Wisdom comes to us from Proverbs chapter 20, verse 8. When a king sits in judgment, he weighs all the evidence, distinguishing the bad from the good. That's a kind of a funny saying there, Aaron. When a king sits in judgment, that means when he is in charge making decisions, correct?
Mm-hmm.
He is making the judgment or the call to decide something.
Absolutely. Do you remember the beginning of The Emperor's New Groove with Cuzco the llama?
Not quite.
The movie opens with Cuzco sitting on his throne. Well, the movie technically opens with him crying in the rain because he's been turned into a llama because he's not a very nice person. But it flashes back to him as his time as king, or Emperor Cuzco, rather. He's sitting on his throne, and his advisors are bringing different people in front of him to talk to them about their needs, and he's having to make judgments about how to handle their needs. So that kind of, it's as silly as it is, that's the picture I see of a king sitting in judgment. And there, of course, there's good kings and there's bad kings and there's moderately neutral kings out there, but we serve a good king in the Lord. So what this verse means to me is basically you are going to have somebody in authority over you at almost all points of your life. And so when that person is in authority over you, he's going to look at the evidence and decide what's good and what's bad. And so for us, especially those of us who are Christians, we need to live morally upright lives so that when the evidence is presented, there's lots of good to be seen and no bad.
Yeah, this is we've been this week talking about Proverbs chapter 20, and we've gone through 5, 6, 7, 8. We're on verse 8 now. And a lot of them are talking about how your actions should be in line with what God wants. Have integrity. They should be reliable. That if you dig deep, you'll have more understanding. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think, yeah, when a king is sitting on the judgment, he needs to be able to say that you did what the Lord asked you to do.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Can't go wrong with that advice. All right. Well, let's cue the music and wrap this thing up. Our mission here is to encourage interaction, creativity, and conversation.
So even though today's show may have come to an end, that does not mean your discussions need to come to an end.
Whatever you do, we just hope you make it another
great
day. Pew, 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 pew.
The rebels are attacking.
Oh no! Save the people. Right. There are some countries where there are more Barbie dolls than humans, potentially. That doesn't make sense.
What?
No. No, sorry. What I was thinking is if you gathered all 1 billion Barbie dolls and you had a pile of Barbie dolls and you had people, there might be more. Well, okay, here, you can edit that out.
The end.